A huge thank you to MPB for sponsoring today's video. I've been collecting potential foggy forest ideas for a while now, and we finally have those moody atmospheric conditions. There's too much choice, not enough time to get through it all, but we're going to start with this incredible trail that I found a couple of weeks ago, lined with silver birch trees. So the location is perfect, the conditions are fantastic, and there are a huge amount of silver birch trees down this pathway. This path is actually quite long. And so where do you start? Which ones do you pick out first to photograph? We're going to take a few different shots as we go down the trail, test a lot of things out, roll with my intuition, whatever catches my eye. And we're starting off with a horizontal shot right at the beginning of the trail. I really like how the trees in this composition on the right are leaning away from the pathway. I think it gives the pathway a little extra space, a bit of breathing room. The trees on the right also bring in that empty space surrounding this trail. We actually have a drop on both sides of this pathway. It just sort of falls off into nothingness, and especially as there's fog, you can't really see a lot going on. I think it just brings in that little extra bit of mystery and atmosphere. Now, usually when I photograph trees, I try and create a gap between each tree trunk as it just makes the image clean and easy to look at. With this, you really cannot do that. It is difficult. These trees are going in all sorts of directions. They're bending and crisscrossing. With this vertical shot that I'm testing out, I'm not too sure about it because I am struggling to clean up the trees in the foreground. They are overlapping quite severely, and I'm trying to sort of arrange it as much as possible. Just moving millimeters to the side can help, can really create a bit of space. But I do like a good leading line image, and I love how this trail just disappears off into the fog right in the back there. I'm having a lot of fun inching my way down this trail, but we're going to move on because right at the end of this pathway lies a fantastic tree that I can't wait to share with you. But also I am getting really cold standing here, and I sort of need to move, so let's go. Oh, yes, look at this. This is fantastic. I stumbled across this tree a couple of weeks ago on a really bright and sunny day, and I had this vision for it. This tree just surrounded by thick fog to give the impression that it was floating because it's leaning. Away from me, okay, because it's leaning. But now that I'm here with some light fog, my interpretation of the scene has changed a bit. Instead of floating, I feel as though it's expanding and taking up space. I think because I first spotted this tree in sunny conditions, I got the impression of it floating, because all I could really make out was the leaning tree trunk and the middle of this tree where you've just got this knot of gnarly branches, twisted branches. The rest of it just sort of blended into the background. Now that we've got this fog, that separation between our subject and everything behind it, I can actually see how big this tree is and how far it extends and leans over into this space. We're going for a side-on wide shot, and that may seem like the obvious thing to do. However, we're on a slope here. If I go further down, we're looking up at the tree from below, really not into that angle. From the other side on that bank, you don't get that knot in the middle of the tree, that mess of branches. You get a more simple shape of this tree, but I don't think it hits the same way. Going wide gives this tree space to extend from left to right, and you really get all of the intricate details, all of these curling branches in shot. The mist keeps shifting, so it's now over there. And when I was over there, it moved over that way. And when I went that way, it's moved back there. So I'm chasing the fog, and so I'm just gonna stand still and wait for it to come back. Because I'm just running around this hill like an absolute mad woman. See, it's slowly coming back. Let's see if we can set something up. The fog has come in super thick. I think this is the most dense it's been all day. Everything is just even more muted, and I really like it, but I also am looking for snippets of colour just to add extra interest to my images, because otherwise they're going to be very monotone, very grayscale. We've got a lovely splash of earthy tones on the leaves of this tree in the middle of our image, and I love how everything else around it is just bare and colourless. So these leaves really stand out, and it gives you the impression of this tree just clinging to the last bit of colour, the last bit of autumn before it's forced into winter. We've got a nice clean gap between most of these trees, so it makes the image really just pleasant to look at. And we are on a slope, so the ground is going down towards the bottom right corner. The highest point of the ground will probably start sort of in the middle of the image, potentially. So you just got that nice sort of curve, that slope in the bottom half of the image to give you the impression that we are on a hill and the ground is not even. Well, the fog seems to be lifting a bit by the look of it, but I'm pretty happy with that. We don't tend to get these conditions often in the forest that I'm aware of anyway. We're quite high up, so any early morning mist or low cloud, we tend to just be above it and not really get it within the trees. So I'm super happy today that we've got these conditions. And we managed to get out and get a few images. Well, I'm going to head back to the car because now that I'm standing still, it is pretty darn cold and I left my coffee in there. So I'm going to go finish that and brainstorm our next adventure. I just want to thank MPB for sponsoring today's video. If you don't know who MPB are, they are the largest reseller of photo and video kit, and very recently I found myself wanting to get rid of my GoPro Hero 5 because I didn't really use it that often, to be honest, and it would have been such a waste to just throw it away because it worked perfectly fine despite being a little old, and one person's rubbish is another person's treasure. So I did a quote on MPB very, very fast, and within minutes I had arranged for somebody to come and collect the GoPro, and literally within the very next day that GoPro was out of my hands and was off to be tested and approved. It was a very smooth experience, and the fact that MPB tests and approve all of their products before reselling and that they come with a 6-month warranty is total peace of mind, especially for me because I bashed the top of that GoPro. I somehow managed to drop it and create a ding in the top. It works perfectly fine. Even my heightened clumsiness cannot destroy a GoPro that badly. And it also has been MPB approved, so if you go on MPB and you purchase a GoPro Hero 5 that has a slight ding on the front, it's probably the one that I owned. Took them a few days to check it all over, and then they actually altered my quote because I sent in a few GoPro accessories with the GoPro, so I actually got a bit more money than they initially quoted, which was great. Bish bash bosh, payment received, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So if you're looking to buy, sell or trade in your used photo or video kit, then head on over to mpb.com. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.